All right, would you be surprised if I told you that 60% of men think what it means to be a man is to be physically tough in 2018? That came out of a Chatelaine magazine survey. The survey is called What Are Men Thinking and Experiencing? We have got the editor at large here, Rachel Guys. She's going to help us decipher this survey. And we've got our own men's panel. Please welcome Matthew, Mocha, Elamine, and Bruce Chatelaine, our very own. I love that Chatelaine did this survey. I love the fact that we can now sit here and talk about this survey and have very honest, we're going to all be honest, right? About our answers. An honest reflections on what it means to be a man right now. So I'm just going to give you a quote from a New York Times article right now. A college professor asked his students, what does it mean to be a good man? And the descriptions that came up were putting others' needs first, being honest. When he asked the same students what it means to be a real man, the answers were take charge, take risks, suppress weakness. So the question has been put out there. If you could ask your younger self what your idea of being a man was, what do you think they'd say? Watch this.
That's a tough one.
I thought to be a man means to be the head of the household.
Sports.
Fix cars.
Tied up skates.
Walk on the street side of a lady.
Blue and green.
He-Man and G.I. Joe.
I thought it meant to be Chuck Norris, because that dude could beat up a lot of people.
Martial arts movies.
Don't cry, get back up if you get hurt.
Never to show fear.
Strong and a source of support for those who need it.
To be a man meant to be tough.
The Man Survey. Okay, Rachel, I'm going to go to you right away. Let's talk a little bit about these stats when it comes to what it means to be a man. What was found?
So when we asked our respondents what they were told when they were growing up about what it means to be a man, 57% said physically tough, 48% said being the breadwinner, and only 29% said that being a man means being kind.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put it to the panel now. For you guys, who or what influenced your idea, and I'll start with you, Matthew, of what it was to be a man?
Well, I think I had a very unique experience growing up because, you know, even as a child, you would see the societal rules of what a man needed to be, and that was being tough, and that was fixing things around the house, that was bringing home the money. But I grew up in a household where my mother owned a business, my father was a teacher.
Okay.
My father did all the cooking in the house. My mother did all the handiwork. So right from the get-go, that expectation of what I was seeing outside made no sense to me. So I grew up knowing that it doesn't work that way. So I think that I was really fortunate in the sense that I had parents that, you know, did these atypical gender norm stereotypes that I grew up not having that expectation. So my expectation was just to be a good person and to be kind to people.
Very nice.
That's what I grew up with.
How about you, Mocha?
I would say, like, my father, and even still to this day, it's like ingrained in my mind because my dad was like the hardest worker I had ever met my entire life. Like, there were times where, just to support our family, he was working like 3 jobs. So he would like go to work in the morning, and I'd see him for like maybe 30, 40 minutes in the afternoon, then he'd go and work 2 other jobs. So for me, that's where my, I guess, influence of what it meant to support your family, and it was literally doing whatever you could to make sure that there was food on the table and everyone had clothes to wear, really.
So I'm wondering how that changes when you become a parent, because 3 of you are parents. For you, Bruce, does that change the way you are raising your daughter? Like, are you raising her with a set of expectations for what it is to be a man or a woman?
Well, it's worth noting the outlier that I am in that I'm in a same-sex marriage. So we're 2 dudes. So there are many rules that are broken there because she has 2 dads. What I think I endeavor to do as a parent is take the best of what my dad provided, which is a sense of integrity and provider and responsibility, and add the best of what my mom provided that I don't think has to be gendered, right? So especially in our household, there's 2 dudes there, so we've got to find a way to have all the nurturing and all the fun and all the intimacy and all that, even though there isn't a mother figure in the home. And that's a little bit different. I was really lucky to be raised by 2 extraordinary parents who were great role models in lots of different ways, and that isn't the reality for all the guys out there, right?
That's right. So for you, Elamine, your idea of what it was to be a man growing up, is it the same as your idea now?
Not at all.
Not at
And
all.
I would say that, like, listen, my idea of what it means to be a man as a young person, no one sat me down and was like, this is the book on how to be a man. You just sort of pick it up from messages in film, you know, in television, and people around you be like, this is manly, this is not manly.
Yeah.
And then eventually you sort of like get this idea inside of you that's like, you know, to be a man, you got to be tough and you got to be the breadwinner. And now I think it's to be a bit more thoughtful about your place in the world.
Yeah.
It's to be able to, you know, sort of push back against places where you might have too much space. And you say, you know what, to be a man is actually step back from that kind of space. So I would say that that idea has changed a lot for me.
Oh, that is a perfect segue.
Great.
Let's talk a little bit about men occupying too much space. I like.
I could go.
Should we man spread while we have this conversation? Because I've got like some geography there.
I want to talk about professionally benefiting from being a man. And that has come up in this study. And the reason why I love this is because most people find it very difficult to unpack their privilege. And so talking about that is a very sensitive thing. Let's talk, Rachel, about some of the survey results.
Yeah, and I think this is really interesting given some of the conversations that have come out of #MeToo about harassment in the workplace and how women are treated in the workplace. So when we asked men in the survey, have they professionally benefited from being a man? Only 28% of men said yes, and only 13% of men believe they are paid more because they are men.
Okay, that's interesting.
Who are these men?
Have they not been reading the news?
Well, forget the news. I want to talk about your experiences. So, Mocha, have you ever seen a situation where you felt a man maybe got promoted over a woman, or you felt that there was definitely wage disparity between a man and a woman?
Man.
Have you seen it?
You know what? I haven't, to be honest with you. I just believe it in as long as you are good to other people and that you work hard and you do your job really well, that
Maybe until.
Okay.
Right? But maybe I'm blind to that.
I think you're probably blind to it. Maybe until kids arrive. Because that's been so, as a primary caregiver, what I'm exposed to is what it's like to be the woman in the family, where I have to be there for pickup and drop off and all that stuff. And I was in this professional context, and the female leader of the team, so they'd moved the meeting to a point that was right during kid drop off, which I couldn't do. And she, you know, dealt with that. And then she said, I just wonder, are you committed? Are you really committed? And I was like, everything I do has demonstrated my commitment, but because you've moved to the meeting to a point at which I can't be there because of drop-off, you're questioning my commitment. So I talked to a couple of other women in the group and I said, do you deal with this? And they said, it's not even a topic of conversation because our commitment is questioned all the time.
All the time.
So I think what's really helpful for parents, especially actively engaged dads, is we then go down that stereotypical female world and we're like, what? You have to deal with this? This is completely unacceptable.
There's also like I think there's a radical idea we need to introduce, which is the idea of some sort of wage transparency out there. We just don't know how much men make and how much women make, and we don't talk enough about money. And so there are so many situations where, there are people being paid differently for the same job, and men are making more, but we just don't know about it.